everybody, it's Tom from MayaCast, and we are here with the Vostok Sputnik, the new SiOcast thermoplastic resin from Corvus Belli they gave us to try out. So the first thing I want to do is check out the flexibility and the bend of these. Oh my gosh, and the first thing that happens is it tears. The thing tore right at the shin, the thigh, the leg. Okay, so let's try this one. And yeah, it's super flexible. It's real bendy. It's rubbery. It is more flexible than like your Green Army Men. It's really soft. And this tip of this gun really worries me. It's got such a narrow connection point, and it's super flexible. And the claim about how it snaps back into place automatically, not exactly correct. But with a little pushback, you can straighten it back out. So if it is a little bent, you can grab it, straighten it back out. Doesn't take much to get it into the right position. So the big injection ports are real easy to cut off with some flush side clippers, right? Nice, sharp, good quality ones. Cut it really easily and really flush to the surface. And so this was the easiest part of the cleanup, as it turns out, was removing all the big injection ports and flash. So for those of you who are gamers first and hobbyers second and just want to get it on the field ASAP, cleanup's going to be real simple. Just clip off the big uglies, and then you should be able to glue it together and get it all in the field. However, I am more of a modeler, and I wanted to attack this as a hobbyist. And so I want to clean up all the mold lines. So I get a X-Acto knife with a brand new, fresh out of the package blade. And we're going to see how scraping the mold lines goes. And honestly, this is pretty much the best thing that I found throughout the different things that I tried. Is sort of scraping along the edge, kind of like you would do with hard plastic, right? The thing is, because this material is so soft, you may get to the end of your scrape, and then it leaves like a little, it doesn't remove the material. It's still hanging on by a thread. It's very kind of fibrous, right? Very soft. And so then you've got to trim off that excess fur. But scraping with the file didn't make any burrs or anything. It did make a nice soft surface. So next up, I'm going to try a needle file. This one's a pretty coarse texture, and with some gentle pressure, many repetitions but very softly to remove material. This left the surface very burred, very fuzzy. This is not going to work, so just way too coarse. And but you do need a tool like that to get into little nooks and crannies that you might not be able to scrape with your X-Acto knife. So now I have a very fine grain diamond needle file, and I'm doing the same process, very gentle, but this worked much better than the coarse one, and did a good job at smoothing things out. It did not leave it very rough or burred. So next up, sanding sticks, the finest grain sanding sticks that I could find in my big batch of sanding sticks from Micromark. And these guys, just like the coarse file, these did not do the trick. They this very soft, sort of fibrous resin material just fuzzed up and got really yucky. So tried two different very fine grain sanding sticks. They didn't work. So back in with the fine grain needle file, and it helped smooth things out much better. So I continue cleaning the different parts using the fine grit needle file and the X-Acto blade to scrape, and those were the best tools I found and methods. And hey, if you are very familiar with this material and know tricks and techniques, let me know, because here's one thing I had a problem with. So I'm filing the edge of this leg, and you'll see that after the filing, it leaves like the hair fuzz sticking out around the edge of where you filed the mold lines away. And so had to go back in with the X-Acto and like try to trim off that beard. Thing I really struggled with were the tracks on the undersides of the legs, where these like the double-sided treads that it has, because the mold line runs right down the middle of all that detail of these shapes. So trying to scrape along one edge, and it leaves little hangy bits off the end. So then you try to cut up the other end and get rid of them, and it just doesn't want to remove. And so going with a file to try and smooth it up and clean it out, and probably used a little too much pressure. It started to do the thing the coarse file did and the sanding sticks did, which is make the surface very rough and have a lot of that fuzz and texture. And so try to go back and clean that again with the knife. So it's knife and then file and then back to knife, trying to get the extremely detailed parts where the mold line runs through it. I mean, the flat surfaces are easy. You just scrape and it's flat and it's gone, and it'll be fine. But none of that worked, so got myself a stiff brush and attacked the fuzzy wuzzies with the stiff brush, and used this a lot throughout the process because it really did help to clean up the fuzzy little beards that stick off after scraping or after filing or sanding or whatever. And so that brush, big tool. But like I said, here's this mold line that goes all the way around the side, down the chin, and all the way up around the part that I want to get rid of, right? And the big flat sides, those are easy. You put the knife along and you scrape, and it removes it fairly well. And it's the detail parts where I had the most difficulties. And then, after scraping it with the knife, get the file, smooth it down, and off you go. So it is, if you are a hobbyist where you think of miniatures as art pieces, I think you might be a little disappointed in this material and trying to clean it up, because it never gets to that perfection you can achieve when filing down the metal miniatures. Also, this weighs nothing. When the whole miniature is completed, it still weighs nothing. And so there's that heft that a lot of people say they like. That's missing. So assembly, just normal, regular, cheapo super glue. And first up is to repair the torn leg, which is the first thing that happened out of the box, was, giving the super bendy material a wiggle, and it just tore. But little super glue, little zip kicker, and it was good as new, off and running. And couldn't even really see the crack, so that was good. Now, over at CreatureCaster, they recommend scoring the surfaces that you're going to bond. So that's what I'm doing here. Just X-Acto knife, making a cross-hatch pattern in the connection points, which will increase the surface area the glue has to bond to make the bond stronger. And honestly, I don't really think you even need to do this. The super glue actually bonds this plastic resin very well on its own, and very strongly. And so I'm not even sure the scoring is worth it. It makes a lot of sense on metal pieces where the pieces are very heavy and there's a lot of pressure on that bond. But this has no weight, so no pressure on the bond. So, scoring it may be superfluous. But they recommended it. I did it. And then, a little dab of glue on both sides, and it went together easily and quickly, and bonded together seamlessly and instantly. So that's good. Regular old super glue works just fine. And I even scored the inside of the top piece, the main body, to go onto its big plug there. And again, don't think it was necessary. I think this material is going to hold together with super glue just fine. But you notice it's a little wobbly. The legs all don't touch the ground at the same time. I can get the right front down or the back right down, left front, back right, but not all four at once. But because of the bendy nature of it, it's not going to be a problem once we apply glue and push it down on that base, we'll get all 4 legs stuck to the base pretty easily. Once we get the little the gun on and the little other doodad on the other side. So it held to the base really well with just the super glue and no pinning necessary, and it's so light, I'm not worried about it, breaking off or coming apart. The bendiness, had to bend the gun back out to true, but for gamers, this is going to be great. It's a great looking model, and the big things that prevent you from assembling it, or the really noticeable flash pieces, really easy to remove with those clippers, and glues together real easy with super glue. But for hobbyists, modelers, artists, the cleanup is a little rough and hard to get perfect. But now that we've got the thing built and it's all assembled and ready to go, I thought the next thing we should do is, break it. So, I'm going to grab the thing and we're going to get it off of this base that we put it on. And if you notice my knuckles, I had to apply a great amount of pressure on those back legs to break the bond and get it off of the base. And then, might as well see, what about the side? And so I ripped the gun off, like wings off a fly. But you'll notice that some of the material is off of the gun right there, and it is left inside the thing. So while the resin debonded from the plastic base very easily, the super glue really held it so well that it actually tore the material itself and left some inside. But went back together in a second, easy peasy, no problem. And really hard to get it off that base, so pinning's not going to be necessary, and a very strong bond. It's so lightweight that it's going to be fairly indestructible, except for that gun. And yeah, so there's the thermoplastic resin. My thoughts are that I am a little disappointed in the cleanup process, and it precisely because you can't get it perfect like you can with metal. And those little fuzzy wuzzies that stick out and don't separate like they would from hard plastic, where you scrape and it just peels off and flies away. These little fuzzy wuzzies are my biggest issue. But gentle pressure with a very fine grit needle file and scraping with an X-Acto blade seem to work the best. And so that's the review of the material, and hopefully you could see what I was talking about in the pictures if they're big enough to see the texture and the grit. But it looks great, has the same level of detail, and will work just fine for, I believe, 99% of you, unless you are a persnickety artiste. So let us know your thoughts, and if you have any questions, email us at tom@MayaCast.com and kip@MayaCast.com, and let us know if you've got one. Let us know your thoughts, or if you have any questions about us, let us know. But it took me about 1 hour of work time to get the whole thing cleaned up and assembled. So it is a pretty big remote, so that's good. And hopefully that was useful and showed you what it looks like and what it acts like, and can help inform your opinion. But like I said, let us know what you thought. Thanks for listening. See you later.